Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and this is a separate kind of video today. Earlier I only used to make lead code solution videos, but I thought of making like a different kind of video today where I'm going to share my interview experience that I'm giving recently, right? So a couple of weeks back I had given a ServiceNow interview and I thought of sharing my experience with you. What were all the questions asked, how many rounds were there, what was the overall experience like, and once I qualified the interview, what was the compensation that they have offered, right? So with that, like I hope anybody who is appearing for the ServiceNow interview, they will have a little bit of clarity, maybe like how or what could be their interview process be like. So before I go into the question, like basically the profile that I had appeared for was Java backend developer. So that's my current profile, and for that only I actually appeared for the interview. So yeah, let's go into the experience how it went, and we'll cover other things as we move on, right? So there were basically 4 rounds totally, and the first round was related to data structure and algorithm. Second round was also data structure and algorithm, plus there was a designing also, right? And third round was HM, like the hiring manager round, and the fourth round called as master round, right? I don't know why it's called master round, but that's what the recruiter told me. So these were the basically 4 rounds, and let's go one by one what happened in each round and what were the question asked. So the first question that was asked in the DSA round was like palindromic substring. So I had also given link to the lead code problem basically. So if anybody want to refer that, they can see them. So this was the first question, right, where we had to find out the palindromic substrings. So in this question, like it was asked, like if we have been given ABC, right? So what are all the possible palindromic substring present in this string, right? So since in this case, since ABC are the only one, so the answer would be 3, right? So this was the question. Yeah, I was able to solve that. And then the second question was like longest palindromic substring. So if you look at this question, it was we have been given like a string and we have to return the longest palindromic substring that's present in this string, right? So in this case it was BAD, or ABA is also one of the possible answers, so we didn't have to, we can return any one of them, right? So this was the question, and it was a second question, and I also solved that one also, right? Then coming to the third question, it was like a standard dynamic programming question where we have to count the total number of unique paths which are required to reach from the top left corner of the matrix to bottom right corner of the matrix, right? So total number of possible paths, the total number of unique paths that are there that are required to reach the end of the matrix, right? So this was the question. So overall, like these were the 3 questions that were being asked, and I was able to solve them within 30 minutes, all the 3 questions. So my this interview round wrapped up quite early, and since there were no follow-up questions, so this round got like ended early. So the round was of 1 hour, but since I was able to do the questions in 30 minutes, and I think that last 10 minutes we had some Q&A round where I was offered to ask any question if I had them. So I asked some few questions related to the project, how is the things go on in ServiceNow and all those things. So these were like standard questions that I asked, and that was the end of round 1. Coming to the second round, like there was was a DSA plus design round, right? And in this one, like the first question was this one, like where I had to find the k closest element. So if you look at this problem, right, so in this problem, like we have been given a sorted array and 2 integers k and x, right? So we have to return the k closest integer to the x in the array, right? So this was the problem, and the interviewer was more interested in looking at the approach that I would take to solve the question. So he clearly told me like he is more interested in knowing the approach that I would use to solve the problem. But later, since I was able to give him the possible approach, and there was time also, right? So he asked me to write the code also, which I was able to write. So yeah, that was like the first question. Second one was like it was more of a generic discussion type question, like system optimization related one. So in this, he asked me like assume like we have been given two systems A and B, and you are system B and wants to read some huge data from system A, right? So how will you do that? So it's like an open-ended discussion like that you can have with the interviewer. And there was one more constraint given was like system A cannot expose any API or share their credential to database or data source that the system A has, right? So this was the question that's being asked. So it was an open-ended kind of discussion that I had with the interviewer. So I gave him multiple solutions, and he tried to narrow down to the one that he wanted to be the closest to the answer. So it was like an open discussion round. So in this round, it could be like you can also propose any other solution. So there is no one particular answer that anyone is looking for. It's more like what's the approach and what the reason that you provide for that particular answer that matters. So this was like the second question. And once we are done with this question, right, there was another question that was being asked, like design a system to count clicks on a video. So let's say we have only go to a YouTube, right, and we have to design a system how many clicks are there on a video. So this was again you can say an high level HLD question. So we have to discuss with him like what are all the, so in this round also basically in this question basically he was also not interested in delving down into the low level designs of the question, but was more like how I would go around thinking about the solution, what would the approach that I would take, what are all the services I will have, what are all the schema in the database that I would be having, right? So all these around these questions we had discussions, and that's and at the end like it was again a Q&A round. So, like what are the questions that I want to ask him, and then it was a wrap up, right? Then coming to the third round, it was taken by the hiring manager. So initially there were some standard hiring manager related question like how did you resolve the conflict with the team members? Did you encounter any tasks that you weren't able to do, right? And how did I resolve it? And third question was like things that I like and not like about my current role and why I was looking for a switch, right? And fourth question was give example of LLD design change that you implemented in your current role and what was its impact. So in this question basically like if like it's been asked to you also like in your current role what you did, so most important thing here was like anyone is looking for the impact, it is more better to tell them in terms of current in like revenue impact that you had, right? How much was money you were able to save, or how did basically it impacted the business. So those kind of things people are more interested to. If your answer is the answer basically that you are giving is more acceptable if you are somehow able to quantify it, like let's say you did some optimizations also, right? And some API optimization you did. So basically like how much the response time of that API, if you are able to tell that like you are able to reduce the response time from 100 millisecond to 50 millisecond. So and what was the money impact on it, right? So that would be like adds more value to your answer basically. So and there were more questions like above, like more standard behavioral related questions, right? So then second round was like on a website, when someone opt to change the language from English to something else, how does that happen, right? So that was another more like on a UI side question, how it can be done. So that was second question. Third question was it was again a design question to design a car ride booking system more like Ola or Uber. So again, it was a very high it was a high HLD level question. So I had to come up with APIs that I'll be creating, what are all the services would be there, and how they'll be interacting with each other, which database I'll use, why I'll use them, and then what would be the schema and all those questions, right? So that was related to it. And then finally, the interview ended with a question related to my profile and what I'm doing currently in my team and what's the project that I'm working on. So all those questions were asked. And finally, like we had a round four, which was master round, and here I was discussing about my project, like what my current project was about, design discussion on my existing project where I had to explain what are all the systems that I'm working on, how many services are there, how they interact with each other, and right. And then there was third question, it was more like a behavioral, like any problem that I was not able to solve and how I go on about solving it, what are all the steps, like it's more like journey of solving that question, right, or problem. Then there was fourth question, which was related to producer consumer problem of multi-threading. So it was like uh, I had written this code in Java. Basically, I tried the solution in Java. So that's like a standard producer consumer problem. And then the fifth question was about designing an Instagram. So he asked me like any social media platform I can choose and how I would design it. What are all the services basically we have, what are all the database I'm going to use, and all those things, right? So all the points I had to cover in the for the earlier questions, right? The same thing I had to cover here also. So I had given that, and that was the wrap up for the fourth, that is the master round. So once I was able to do all those things, I had to wait a couple of days for the final offer being getting released. And even before that, whether I got shortlisted or not, whether how was my feedback for all the rounds. So after a couple of days, like feedback came to me like it is positive, and they're going to give me an offer, and that was it. And so now let's go to the compensation part, like what they offered me, and we'll see the breakup how it looked like. So basically, like this was the compensation that they had offered me. So my base that they offered me was 36 LPA, and the RSU that they offered me was $48,000 for 4 years, and the annual bonus would be the 10% of my salary, right? My base pay, so it would be around like 3.6, but I have written 3 LPA only, and the sign-on bonus they would be giving me 3 lakhs. So that this was the compensation that they had offered, and eventually I didn't ended up accepting this offer. Basically, the reason was the project that I didn't like it that much, and that was the primary reason why I didn't accept this offer. Other reason was like the project that they had shared was more oriented toward JavaScript as a technology. It could have been possible that the project that I have been assigned to could be a JavaScript project. So that was another reason that I hesitated. And so yeah, these were the basically two primary reasons because of which I didn't go further with it. But otherwise, overall, the interview experience and the overall feedback from the HRs was all good. There was no problem in the overall process. They were very helpful in doing all those things, and they regularly kept me updated. So it was all in all very good process, and yeah, I hope that it helps anyone who is interested in joining ServiceNow. So let me know how was your interview experience over in the comment section, and how did it went. And I'll also be sharing my other interview experiences that I'll be giving now. So basically, now I've been looking for a switch. So I'm thinking of giving interviews. See you guys in the next video for further updates. Do like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.